So we're moving up in the world. Got some music, got a website. I'm Allison Cardival. This is a sneak preview of Just Saying. I love to see sports stadiums used in the off-season. Honestly, looking at those massive structures standing empty in the summer sun has always struck me as a bit depressing, not to mention wasteful. If I were managing one, I'd want to fill it up all the time with music and people. Then we'd all feed off the energy that builds when you bring that many human beings together for a common, positive theme. Isn't that what summer stadium concerts are all about? Yeah. The trouble is, filling a stadium is no easy task. The reason you don't see more concerts in your city's idol venue is at least in part because this is a feat only a few acts can accomplish. It's rarefied air. Over the past 20 years, the average price of a concert ticket has tripled. It takes a massive, dedicated fan base willing to endure ever-growing ticket prices, as well as a not-so-small army of backstage personnel to pull off just the logistics of caravanning a show from city to city across the country or world for months on end. If you cannot put butts in each of the 50,000 plus seats, it's not profitable. But when done right, it is profitable, not just for the musicians, but for the cities they go to. That's the topic for this second and final sneak preview of Just Saying. It felt like we needed one more lighthearted run-through to work out the logistical kinks of our own before Just Saying is officially launched. So here we go. Rolling boom towns. What do we get from these summer stadium shows, and is it worth it? This is the make or break time of year when all big acts hit the road for their summer tours, but only a handful will be filling stadiums. Beyonce and Jay-Z, Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran, Luke Bryan, and Kenny Chesney are all in this category for 2018. I'm going to use Kenny Chesney as my main example because I just went to his concert in Pittsburgh as he played Heinz Field for the 10th time. And full disclosure here, I have seen him 8 of those times. I've also seen him once at a smaller venue. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not the kind of fan most acts would want. I don't join clubs or track whatever's going on in their lives or even buy a bunch of merchandise. The Kenny thing started with a neighborhood bus outing and turned into an annual pilgrimage. We missed a couple years when we moved out of state, but when our kids got old enough, we started doing it with them. They aren't huge country fans, especially not of the new stuff, but they do love Kenny. His songs are a part of their childhood. Summer days around our backyard pool. I like his music, I think, mostly because it's positive. And I'm not the only one. When asked why they come, I heard one Chesney fan claim that Kenny's music fills his soul. Now that's quite a compliment from a middle-aged man. And I don't know if I'd go that far, but I do have to agree that Chesney has a great formula. His music exudes positive energy. It is perfect for the summer. And in a recent press release, Chesney described his music as medicine, as energy, as fuel. He said, quote, "All I want anytime I get on stage is to turn people's bad days into something great and take their great days and make them everything they could ever want." He went on to say, "That's what music does, change the moment. And it's a big part of why I do what I do," unquote. A big part of his long-term success is tied to the fact that Chesney innately gets what his crowd is looking for. In an era inundated with politics and rhetoric saturated by negativity, his shows have none of it. His music is upbeat, his lyrics hopeful. He says his newest single is about turning negative energy into positive. It's called Get Along. You can listen to the whole thing on the website. Just go to gist.com SAYN.com, and click on Episode Extras. That page will take you to the articles, and the music's embedded right there. That song hadn't even been released officially yet, and still everyone was singing along at the concert with it. It seemed to resonate, and he's good at finding those things that resonate with his crowd. Those are the kind of acts that can fill stadiums. Chesney says, quote, "To me, when music is really firing, it can help you do impossible things, lift you out of unthinkable problems, and give you a reason to keep going. When people come together in the name of music, then let go, there's no feeling like it. It's not the only reason I do this, but it's a good one," unquote. I can attest, it's a good feeling. There is nothing quite like the energy of seeing a concert in a packed stadium where everyone is singing along. You can just feel it. I guess that's why we will pay so much for those tickets. Now, don't get me wrong, I will pretty much go to whatever concert I'm invited to, though then I'm usually surprised when I get there and find out how many songs I know that I hadn't realized that band even played. That's what happened at the Maroon 5 concert I went to last year, for example. I like music, I just don't usually pay attention to who's playing what. That's my husband's job, and now my kids. I'm not a huge concert goer either, except for the whole Kenny thing. I do know the songs when we go to the Foo Fighters, though, because that's one of my husband's favorite bands. And since I have 2 daughters, I have seen Taylor Swift 3 times. The first time was by accident, really. She was the opening act at the first indoor concert we took our kids to. We were looking for something safe that they could go along, and while we were going to see Faith Hill and Tim McGraw, my oldest was just as excited to hear this teenage girl my husband and I had not heard of yet. Then I saw Tay-Tay twice more as she crossed over to pop and grew from that little girl standing alone on the stage strumming a guitar in a skirt and cowboy boots to the young lady able to act out her most fanciful daydreams with wardrobe changes and backup dancers. Honestly, that transition was pretty fun and interesting to watch as she grew up and my kids grew up with her. Now this summer, Swift hits the road as a mastermind production diva who is predicted to bring in almost $500 million. More on that later. Remind me, I'll come back to it. First, let's talk a little bit more about logistics. Stadiums can hold between 50 and 100,000 plus people for a concert. To make everyone, even those seated in the rafters, feel like they are part of the show is a monumental undertaking. They're just little specks on the stage. For Kenny Chesney's Trip Around the Sun Stadium tours, this means moving in, a sound system that can generate 110 decibels, a stage that weighs 360,000 pounds, a 48-foot video screen, and 404 lighting fixtures. They also lay down 80,000 square feet of flooring to cover the fields and protect that sacred turf. Can you imagine putting this all together just to tear it all down hours later? And this all gets done by 233 people in the morning and then loaded back out by 308 people after the show. 133 of these stagehands travel with the tour. The rest are hired locally, which is just one of the ways these concerts impact the local economies of the communities they roll into. The more theatrical the show, think Beyonce and Jay-Z or Taylor Swift, the more equipment and personnel there is to move from city to city. Kenny Chesney has no backup dancers, a 5-person band, and the self-proclaimed smallest wardrobe of any performer on the road. T-shirt, jeans. That's pretty much it. This is in stark contrast to these other acts. Beyonce and Taylor Swift, countless designer wardrobe changes are going on. That all costs money. Still, it takes 28 trucks to haul all the equipment and 19 buses to travel the band and crew across the country for Kenny Chesney's concerts. It just goes to show the old adage is true: you have to spend money to make money. In 2015, Kenny Chesney, the Rolling Stones, One Direction, and Taylor Swift all played Heinz Field. Just those 4 stadium concerts are reported to have added more than $32 million to the region's economy. Hotels, bars, and restaurants reap a lot of the initial benefits, but the other reasons are a bit harder to measure. But they continue to have a positive impact on the area even after these acts roll out of town. Go to the website and sign into episode extras, and you can see a link to a story in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette that talks about this in more detail. According to Billboard, last summer, stadium concerts alone grossed $421 million of the $1.8 billion in ticket sales that were generated between Memorial Day and Labor Day in North America. It's big business, no doubt about it. And it's been going up, except for 2 years during the recession. They've been making more and more money. Given this summer's star-studded lineup, Billboard is predicting that stadium shows alone will surpass $1 billion in 2018. Which brings us back to Taylor Swift. You thought I forgot, didn't you? Nope. Before Swift's tour launched, she was getting some negative press about sluggish ticket sales. But Billboard says slow and steady now is good. Remember when concerts used to sell out in minutes? This includes Swift's 1989 tour. Well, it appears those days are gone. This is no longer a measure of success. There is a new strategy being deployed by bands like the Rolling Stones, Jay-Z, and now Swift. It's called slow ticketing. It means bigger money for the artists, but that money is still coming out of your pocket. With this model, ticket prices are set higher, especially the premium seats, right from the start. By doing this, they hope to cut out the resale companies and the scalpers. They want them out of the equation. Instead of instant sellouts, seats are still available from the primary market on the day of the show. But that's okay, because with this model, the huge revenues are going to the artist, not an outside third-party ticket seller. The philosophy is that people are already paying outrageous prices to resellers who have snatched up all the tickets with bots and algorithms the day they went on sale. So why shouldn't that money go to the artist instead? So what kind of ticket prices are we talking about? Well, concert tickets are now like buying an airline ticket. It all depends on where you are going and how you plan on getting there. Are you going to New York? Are you going to Cleveland? Are you going economy? Are you going first class? According to one resale site, the average price for a ticket to see Kenny Chesney in Pittsburgh at Heinz Field this year was $258. The current average ticket price for Taylor Swift on that same site at the same venue in Pittsburgh is $304 a ticket. Now, however, that date is still a ways off, so it's likely those prices could increase. The minimum get-in price for Taylor Swift in Pittsburgh is quoted to be $18. Beyonce and Jay-Z are not coming to Pittsburgh, but the first stop on their On the Run Tour 2 is in Cleveland. Their elaborate spectacle will return from Europe on July 25th. Right now, the average resale price for tickets at First Energy Stadium is $337. The minimum get-in price is said to be $16. Only time will tell if the fans agree that this is a good system to follow, pricing them high right out the door. or if they feel like they're still getting taken advantage of, this time just by their favorite artist. This strategy could also mean that even fewer shows can make it into the stadiums because fans can only afford to go to one. They have to pick and choose which one that's going to be. Either way, early indications are that fans are willing to pay, or at least enough of them are, to ensure that these elaborate boom towns will continue to keep rolling into a stadium near you. So here's the gist. If you get a chance to go see one of the acts performing in stadiums this year, if you can afford it, I say do it. It is something special, an experience you won't forget. And you'll even be helping your local economy. Until next time, this is Allison Carnival, and I'm just saying.